This is Roger with Aquaponics, and today we're going to look at iron deficiency. What does iron do for plants? It is important for stem formation and chlorophyll production, helps to move oxygen throughout the roots, leaves, and other areas of the plants, and helps to complete enzyme functions that keep the plants thriving. So very important. What does a deficiency look like? That's the easy part. You can see this stuff from a mile away when you walk up on it. The new growth is always affected first, so the very top of the plant, the youngest leaves are where you're going to see it first. And you can see that in these pictures on the right. So the higher up on the tomato plant you go, the more yellow the leaves are. And notice that the veins stay green. It's hard to see because the picture's got a little too much light. But if you look at the bottom right picture, you can see it really well, this basal. You can see the veins are still kind of green, whereas the rest of the leaf is turning yellow. If the deficiency is prolonged, you'll start to see dead patches on the leaves. They can be brown or gray in color. And it'll look almost like they're getting burnt. And it'll spread if you don't correct the issue quickly. At that point, it'll spread very rapidly throughout the plant. What can cause iron to be locked out from your plants? Too high levels of certain minerals can do this. So if you've added too much calcium, or your water naturally has too much calcium in it, that can lock out the iron. Too much zinc, manganese, phosphate, or copper can all lock out your iron. And what that does is just make it where the plants can't uptake it. It's literally locked out. So the other thing that can really do it is pH level. And a lot of the iron chelates that are on the market will have a range that they work in. And if your pH is above or below that, or even getting close to the limits of that range, you're going to see the effectiveness of the iron in the water fall off quickly. One thing to note is that when you add your iron chelate to your water, after 21 days, it's either going to all be used, or it's going to oxidize to ferric iron, which is not soluble, so your plants can't uptake it. So let's move on along to iron toxicity in plants. If you get iron toxicity, it's fairly simple to see, although it may be confused with spider mites. So make sure what you're doing, what you have done. Keep good records, because if you see this and you show a picture to somebody, they're going to tell you probably have spider mites. I'll just show you what that looks like right quick. Just zoom in on that. So it's white spots that end up forming on the leaves. That can be caused by spider mites or iron chelate that is there's too much in abundance. So the plant's uptaking too much, and this is what you're going to see happening. The other thing you might see will be the leaves may turn a bronze color. So what bronzing looks like is this leaf right here on the right and farther right. But primarily, if you look at these two leaves, the nice green one, and then this one that's turning kind of a purplish bronze color, that is bronzing. So that's just letting you know that you've got too much iron in your system, and not just iron per se, but iron that's soluble. So it'll be your ferrous iron. So if you're putting too much iron chelate in, or what have you, that's where you're going to see the bronzing start to occur. Let's move on now to iron dosing. What iron chelates are safe in aquaponics? True Nude iron chelate, DTPA 11%. It slightly colors your water yellowish brown, so it's still fairly clear after it's added. True Nude iron chelate, EDDHA 6%. It's a great iron chelate. It's available from a pH range of about 4.5 all the way up to 9.5. So it's got a huge range that the plants can uptake it, unlike the 11%, which is only good between about 6 and 7.6. But the one thing you got to keep in mind is it's going to turn your water a deep red if you use the 6%, and it's going to mess with your water test. So just be aware of that if you have to go that route. One of the biggest questions that people have is which iron should we use? And I've also, over the years, gotten questions of, oh, well, can I just throw nails in my system? Will the rust do the trick? Can I throw railroad spikes? Can I put this or that or cast iron or what have you? The answer is no. You can do it. It's not going to hurt anything. But any iron you get from those substances, from anything made out of steel or iron, is going to be ferric iron and cannot be uptaken by your plants. So it just will not work. What iron chelates are safe in aquaponics? True Nude iron chelate, DTPA 11%. It colors the water slightly yellowish brown. Still keeps it quite clear, so you can see your fish. You can see all the way to the bottom of your fish tank with no problem. The next one on our list is True Nude Iron Chelate 6%. It will turn the water red to the point where you may or may not be able to see your fish, depending on how much light is going through your tank. It will also mess with your water test, like the API Freshwater Masters Kit. When you're testing certain things with it, those tests are going to come back wrong because there's so much red in the water. What iron should you avoid? Iron chelate EDTA in any form should be avoided. There's a couple of reasons. One, it is basically a broadleaf herbicide. It's natural, so you can put it out in your field to get rid of broadleaf plants, and it's a good thing. The EDTA will break down and go away in that situation. However, in your system, in your aquaponics system, it can build up. It will cause copper to not be uptaken into your plants. So if you are adding micronutrients that have copper in it, which plants do need, if you get too much copper, it'll kill your fish. Too much EDTA will kill your fish. So if it builds up over time, you're going to have a fish kill off. It's a little cheaper than the other irons, but the risk to me is just not worth it. Iron that is chelated with citric acid is another one that we want to avoid. You can use it, but you got to be very careful. And you have to add this stuff, if it's chelated with citric acid, every 24 hours. So while it may be cheaper, even much cheaper, or more expensive depending on where you're buying it, it's not going to be a good fit for aquaponics. So if you put it in, that citric acid daily, you're adding that in, it's going to start killing your bacteria off, and it's going to get to a point where all the bacteria will die off and your system will crash. Please click the subscribe button below, and if you are looking for links to the products we've mentioned, look in the comment section below and you'll find the links there. Thanks for listening, and get your grow on.